Welcome to Breakthrough Success. I'm your host, Mark Gabberty, the content marketing expert, bringing you 5 new episodes every week where I and top-level guests teach you how to take your business to the next level and achieve your breakthrough. Hello, Breakthrough Success listeners. I just wanted you all to know before the episode actually starts, I've been working a little bit behind the scenes to give you something really special. So a while ago, I wrote my book, Content Marketing Secrets, which helps people create, promote, and optimize their content for growth and revenue. And I just put the finishing touches together to offer that for free to anyone who is interested. So if you want your free copy of Content Marketing Secrets, all you have to do is head over to markgabberty.com/book. Now, let's jump right into the episode. One of the things that we should all strive to do is become authentic influencers, because by being an influencer, we are able to spread our ideas, spread our content, spread our message in such a way that more people come in contact with them. And by being an authentic influencer, you are able to extend your impact. So that's why on this episode, we're going to focus on becoming that influencer and give you a few things you could do to level up your game. So today's guest is the founder of Social Tenacity, and she has over 10 years of experience in direct sales. She has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs, network marketers, and bloggers build their businesses online and take those businesses to the next level. She is a master at making your business automated, getting the right kind of recruits into your business, and showing you how to free up your time. She does all of that, and she is also passionate about helping network marketers build the business that they want, reach their goals, and help others do the same. Today's guest for episode 243 of the Breakthrough Success podcast is none other than Brooke Elder. Brooke, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. This really is an honor. So thank you, Mark.
Brooke, I'm really looking forward to this interview because so many people want to become influencers. We get it. You have a large audience, you have this powerful platform where you're able to make revenue and have an impact at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to going into that. But before we do that, I'd like to get some background. So you mentioned that you help network marketers, you're helping people grow their online businesses. So can you talk a little bit about how that started? You're helping network marketers, you're helping people grow their business. How did that start?
Well, I have always been an entrepreneur at heart. So I started my whole entrepreneur venture when I was 9 years old. And I started a little business selling things at recess to my friends. And I just have always loved being an entrepreneur. And after I started having kids and I was the stay-at-home mom and thought that that was going to be my dream, I found that I needed something else. And not that being a mom isn't amazing, because I love the 4 kids that I have, but I needed something else to get my creativity out there. And like many stay-at-home moms, I turned to network marketing. And I had to build up my business differently than how I was being told to build it up. Because at the time, my husband was a nurse and he was working nights and he was working about 80 hours a week. And so I couldn't build the business like the traditional way, like my upline was telling me to do. So I looked into online marketing to see how I could take all of the things that were working online to build up traditional businesses and how I could apply that into my network marketing business. And a lot of that was to become an authentic influencer, because that's how you really can get your message out there online.
And you mentioned how being an authentic influencer, you're getting your message out there, something that a lot of people are more conscious of. I feel like we're getting a little more purposeful. We're thinking in that trend. So that's the whole attraction to being an authentic influencer. You get to make the revenue that you need, make the income that you need by spreading your message, which is obviously something very attractive. But what exactly are the steps we can take to become an authentic influencer?
Well, the first thing is to really understand what your message is. And when you think of that one thing that you are super passionate about, you can find many different revenue streams that go around that one passion. So some examples are like Rachel Ray. She loves to cook. She has turned that love into this multi-million dollar business. Another one you can think about is like Dave Ramsey. He is all about finances. And so he has built up a huge business all around that one topic. And my favorite is Chip and Joanna Gaines. They are this farmhouse style fixer-upper, right? So they have taken that and have so many different revenue streams around that one idea. So the first thing you have to really think about is, what is that one idea and how can I create content that's all around that one idea so everyone knows that this is my thing.
And I really like the idea you mentioned of diversifying the income stream, because that's something that you have the power to do as an entrepreneur and an influencer, because there's just so many things available. There's books, there's training courses, there's consultations, there's services. There's just so many different ways to diversify your income. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little about how we can diversify our income. Like, what's the best approach to take? Because there's so many options, but we got to choose the best one. So can you just like share how we do that?
Sure. So the first thing to think about is, what are you passionate about? Because if you are not a writer, writing a book is not going to be the best way for you to diversify your income. And for entrepreneurs, maybe it's adding in a network marketing company. I have a lot of friends who are coaches, and that's what they've done is they have this coaching business, and then they have added a network marketing company as another form of income. For people who are network marketers, they can think about, when they figure out what their one thing is that they're really passionate about, they can create a course to teach other people that. The thing with network marketers is a lot of them have this heart that they just want to help other people. And by creating courses is a good way to get their message out to the masses. So that way they can get income that way, but their message is being put out to help other people. So it really comes down to, what are the things that you are passionate about, and do those things. Don't do things that you're like, oh, I have to do that. I don't, like, maybe you don't want to write an ebook, or you don't want to create a course, but you really love doing a podcast. And that's something that you can get your message out there that will then have them either get into like a bigger coaching program or whatever it is that you're offering them.
And one of the things I feel like a lot of people think about when it comes to authentic influencers, I feel like one word pops into a lot of people's mind, and it kind of emphasizes the amount of work you have to do to become an authentic influencer. And that word for me is omnipresence. You're present on Twitter, Facebook, all the social, at least most of the social networks. You've got content getting created on a bunch of different places. So how do we build that sense of omnipresence where it feels like we are on most or all of the major platforms, and even like content as well, like blogging, video, and podcast?
One of my favorite ways to be omnipresent is to repurpose your content, because you're going to have different followers on different platforms. And I mean, when we're realistic, if you create something today that someone hears 3 months from now, they're going to think it's brand new information. And so, especially if they're hearing it on a different platform. So one thing that I do, I'm all about automation and making things systematized so it's way easier for you in your business. Because if you don't automate things, or you don't systematize things, it's really going to hurt you in your business. So one thing that I do is I create one video, and that one video is going to talk about just one concept that I want my followers to know. And I am going to first put that on Facebook. And then I take that content, and 2 weeks later, I'm going to turn it into an Instagram story. So I put it out there on Instagram. And then 2 weeks later, I'm going to put it out on YouTube. So then it's on that platform. And then 2 weeks later, I turn it into a blog post that then links back to my YouTube, and it links back to Instagram, and it links back to Facebook. So then you're on all of the main platforms with one piece of content. But because you are publishing it in different times, you're going to have different people seeing it. It's going to be new to them, and you only have to create the content once. So it's really important to have a good content calendar so you know what content is going out where.
And I mean, just to further go a little deeper into those points, I mean, like, I know you're listening to Breakthrough Success right now, but I'm sure you know a bunch of people who they may not necessarily listen to those podcasts. By the way, Breakthrough Success, maybe the first podcast they listen to. I don't know. But with like people who don't listen to podcasts, that's people who I can't reach if I'm only creating podcast episodes on Breakthrough Success. Those are the people who I reach with my blog content, my videos. So as Brooke emphasized, you're taking one video, for instance, you're moving it onto Instagram, to Facebook, to the blog, because people like to learn in different ways. And I think like if you're going to take this seriously, the repurposing, video is the best type of content because it's the easiest to repurpose and repackage into a bunch of ways. Like you literally just take the audio of that video and turn it into a podcast. It's just that you have all of the options when you do approach it from the video standpoint. But you also talked about automation and systematization. So I'm wondering if you could go a little bit deeper into how we can have that sense of automation and systematization within our businesses.
So different ways that you can have automation and systemization in your business is if you use different programs, like let's say you want to be posting stuff out on Facebook. One of the tools that I absolutely love is Meet Edgar. And why I love it so much is because, yes, it's going to go out there and post on your social media platforms. But once I think of it like a bucket. And once that bucket is empty of content, it just recycles through. So it's something that you can constantly be adding, but then you don't have that pressure of, oh no, something's happening and I haven't posted it on Facebook for 3 days, because automation is set up there for you. So that's one way that I automate my business, is I find things that will help me to do the work for me. And the more things that you can find that will do the work for you, it frees you up to do more content creation, like make more of these videos. And when you have different templates set up for each one, because something posted on Facebook is going to take a different format than on YouTube and on Instagram. So when you have all of these templates set up, it's really easy to just pop your content in and then go and post it. And you can schedule all your posts so that way it's going to show up when you want it to show up.
And one of the things that I'm sensing a theme, there's a lot of content creation with becoming an influencer. And like another part of that is marketing. Like you talked about Meet Edgar, you talked about how you take this one video, you turn it into Instagram, Facebook, blog, and so on. And there's also relationship building with influencer marketing as well. So one of the questions that I want to ask is, how do you balance the content creation with the marketing and building relationships?
When you create a relationship, you have to have this virtual relationship for automation to really work for you. So you have to have these relationships. My favorite way to create a relationship is to have a Facebook group, because that really creates this community around whatever your one thing, going back to that one thing that makes you authentically who you are. When you create a Facebook group around that and you have this community, that's where you're going to create this relationship. I think podcasts are another great way to let people really know who they are, who you are, because they hear you all the time. They know what you're talking about. And so they feel like they know you, even though they've never met you before. I'm sure some of your listeners feel like they know who you are. So when you create that relationship, then when they start seeing you in all these other places, they're going to start listening to you because you have that relationship foundation.
And like I like people like you, as you mentioned, like some people, they feel like they know who I am just based on all the content that they've consumed. And that's part of what you get when you have the that you're constantly creating content, you're promoting it, you're growing. You want to create that kind of an effect where people feel like they know who you are, and you become a more likable figure that people come to know, like, and trust, which is very important for any business to establish, especially for influencers. But one of the things that like is true for any kind of goal, like becoming an influencer, is that it's a big goal. Some people are on the road to becoming an influencer. Some people may feel a little stuck right now. So with that in mind, Brooke, I'm wondering if you could share with us, what do you believe holds most people back from becoming authentic influencers?
I think it's that they are afraid to put themselves out there. Maybe they are afraid to be on camera. And the truth is, like, if you go on camera, you do a Facebook Live and you feel really uncomfortable, you actually make your audience feel uncomfortable too. So it's owning that it's okay that you don't have to have like the perfect hair or makeup or have the perfect backdrop to get on and do a Facebook Live. Just be yourself. And it's really, people have a hard time giving themselves permission to be themselves because they're trying to be like everybody else. They see all these other people that they follow online and they want to be just like them, when really they need to look inside themselves and find out, what is it really that they are passionate about, that they have. We all have had so many different experiences in this life, and we can all learn from different experiences. So it's taking that experience that you had, whether it be a good or a bad experience, and having the courage and the tenacity to go out and share that message with other people so you can maybe help them, steer them in the right direction so they don't have to do some of the pitfalls that you had to go through along your journey. And that's the thing that really fuels me, is helping other people not have to go through the things that I had to go through, and to help them along the way. So if that really is your deep down why, then getting on camera, being uncomfortable, all of those things, it's less scary because you are fueled by what your why is.
And I really like this, like the why is something that is very important. We actually, it's been mentioned in a few episodes where if you have that why, that understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, you can use that to overpower maybe some of the doubts or some of the fear or some of the awkwardness that may come in some cases, like being on video. Some people, they don't feel comfortable on the screen. And you mentioned something really interesting where if you are uncomfortable on the video, the audience will be uncomfortable as well. So it's also kind of like a transfer of feeling and emotion when you are creating the content. People can read through or see or listen through basically like what kind of emotion you are bringing. So it's always good to keep the feelings and emotion in check, and the level of excitement you bring to each piece of content that you create. But like throughout the journey to becoming an influencer, there's just going to be certain challenges that we face. And this is true about any journey, but for influencers in particular, there are a bunch of challenges out there for anyone pursuing that path. So one of the things I like to do on Breakthrough Success is ask for one of the challenges that you face in your journey and the powerful lesson, because it gives us an idea of like some inspiration to plow through our next challenge. So with that in mind, Brooke, I'm wondering if you could share with us one big challenge you faced in your journey and a powerful lesson you learned during that challenge.
Well, the biggest lesson I've learned, it was actually when I was going to start this business, Social Tenacity. I had the idea to do it for a long time, and I knew what I wanted to do. I just was afraid to put myself out there. I was afraid that I wouldn't be good on camera, or that I would put my message out there and no one would listen to it. And I let that fear take over for too long. And it got to a point where my husband had started a business, and we were building it up together, and it just didn't work. And we found ourselves hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and facing bankruptcy, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And it took being in that hole of, okay, I have to do something to get out of this. And so that's when I decided to invest in my first coach. And that's when I really began to understand what it means to put yourself out there and to really put it all on the line. Because like I had to make it work, because if I didn't, I would lose my house and my family would be on the street. So like this had to work, and it did. And that's where I really learned that it doesn't matter if something scares you. That usually, if something scares you, it usually means that's the right thing to do. And the more that you can lean into fear, really the better your life is going to be. And I found that in so many situations as I've been growing my business and things that I feel like I need to do or should do. Speaking is something that scares me, that I'm not super comfortable with doing. And so I lean into that fear. So anytime that anything comes up that I'm like, that really scares me, I say, okay, that means I need to do it. Because the sooner you can get over that fear, on that other side of fear is just this amazing world that you never realized could even exist for you. So just leaning into the fear and doing things that make you scared is the biggest thing that you can do to be successful in life and in business.
I couldn't agree more with that. Like sometimes when you fear something, that's a sign that's where you need to go, because in some cases, that's your breakthrough. That's the big success that you have. It's on the other side of fear. And even if you don't achieve that big breakthrough after pursuing your fear, you get more comfortable, more conditioned to pursue the fears, like the fears of like pursuing something new, pursuing something exciting. And that helps you to become more successful if you're able to pursue that fear and have a little sense of calculated risk. And also, Brooke making the decision to hire a coach. That is something that I strongly recommend. Every time we're on this subject, I have to mention my podcast coach. He's been a really big help for this show. So I definitely had to mention that because like having a coach like makes a really big difference. And another thing that makes a really big difference is reading as many books as you can get your hands on. So with that in mind, Brooke, I'm wondering if you could share with us 3 great books that you believe will have a positive impact on us.
Well, my very favorite book, I'm just finishing it right now, and it's called The Wisdom of Walt. I love Disneyland, and it is just one of my favorites. It takes you through all the different things that you can learn from him, and I have learned so much from that book. So that one's one of my very, very favorites. The next one that is my favorite is Building a Story Brand. And that one's really great at showing how everything you do, whether it be just the design of your website or the content that's on your website or the content that you post out there on Facebook, of how you can always create it as a story that's telling the story of your brand. That's a really great one. And then Rocket Fuel is another one that I really, really like, that talks about the difference of having an integrator in your business and the visionary, and those 2 roles, and how they're very important to have those 2 roles in your business and how they kind of play off of each other.
Brooke, thank you for sharing with us those great book recommendations. Those will all be in the show notes, marketbirdie.com/E243. And we'll also throw in content marketing secrets in the show notes. That's marketbirdie.com/book to grab your free copy. Just pay for the shipping. And before we wrap up this episode, Brooke, I've asked you several questions throughout our time together, but what do you believe is one question that we need to be asking ourselves more often?
What value do you bring to the world?
Brooke, that is a very powerful question. Thank you for posing that to all of us today. And thank you for sharing all of your great insights throughout our time together. Breakthrough Success listeners, if you guys want to keep in tabs with Brooke, she actually has a webinar that walks people through the 5 shifts she took to build her business. Brooke, I'm wondering if you could provide a little more detail on that so Breakthrough Success listeners know what they're going to witness in the webinar.
Absolutely. So I really break down the 5 steps that it takes to become an authentic influencer. So the first step is to create a movement, and how you decide what the one thing is that you are really going to focus your whole business idea, everything around, and that's to create a movement. The second thing that we talk about is how to build a culture around that movement. The third thing is how to automate that whole process, because I'm all about automation. With 4 kids, you have to automate your business. And then the fourth thing that we talk about is leadership, because becoming a leader and helping the people, whether it be your clients or just your team, whatever it is, leadership is super important. And then the last shift that we talk about is how to get through the dips of your business.
Brooke, thank you for going more into detail about the webinar. That will be in the show notes for this episode. Again, that's markthebrake.com/E243. But Brooke, I can't thank you enough for sharing all of your great insights with us today. It was such a pleasure to have you on Breakthrough Success.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
How does over 100 retweets per day sound to you? My free ebook, 27 Ways to Get More Retweets on Twitter, has you covered. I use the methods within this ebook to get over 10,000 retweets every single quarter. To learn